Catastrophic situation of the civilians in the Gaza Strip and to provide them of the needed materials in terms of electricity, fuel, food, medicine, water, and so on and so forth. And President Abbas impressed on him the need of ending this onslaught and aggression against our people in the Gaza Strip. We appreciate the efforts of the SG, and he continued with this effort with a number of countries and agencies. The WHO is active, and it's raising the alarm that there has to be access to the Gaza Strip to provide medical and humanitarian assistance. UNRWA it has in its facilities, I believe now it is 92 facilities, as the SG said. They are housing about 220,000 displaced Palestinians. There might be an additional 100,000 who are looking for places to protect their families. The situation is extremely horrific against our civilian population. The destruction is beyond imagination, as you see, and you cover the situation and the story with your own, cameras. So the whole world is seeing that catastrophe that is befalling on the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. Of course, we appreciate the efforts also of UNRWA, who's trying to send assistance, but they cannot. Egypt and others, Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah, all are trying, to send assistance, but they are not succeeding so far. In addition to that, I met with the President of the Security Council about an hour ago in his chamber, and I raised with him, that this catastrophic situation, the efforts of the SG, the efforts of all these agencies who are active in the humanitarian field, including UNRWA, WHO, and the readiness of many countries, including Egypt and Jordan, of stepping up to the plate and helping. We appreciate all these efforts, and we will continue the contacts with everyone, including the Security Council, so that the international community to shoulder its responsibility in stepping to the picture and in putting an end to this onslaught against our people. But more importantly, that would require, of course, sending humanitarian assistance to the 2.3 million of Palestinians who live in the Gaza Strip. There has to be a humanitarian intervention in order to avoid a looming catastrophe and humanitarian massive crisis in the Gaza Strip. We will continue with these efforts with everyone. I understand that the Arab Emergency Ministerial Meeting just concluded a few minutes ago in Cairo. We will study what the outcome and see how we can fit all these things with our activities and our contacts with all concerned parties here at the United Nations. We hope very soon that the international community, led by the SG, led by the Security Council, will rise up to their responsibilities and begin with the process of sending humanitarian help and assistance to the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. This, of course, would require to have a ceasefire or stopping the bombardment of the Gaza Strip so that the convoys and the caravans would be able, to reach the Gaza Strip and to provide the assistance to the people there. And if we succeed in this collective effort soon, it is needed, it should take place, then that would open the stage for other possibilities to deal with all other pressing issues. This is what I wanted to brief you with, and I want to thank you again for being with us. Thank you.
Can we ask some questions?
I gave you everything that,
Well, we'd like to hear from you. Just,
Oh, okay.
I've been asked by UN Correspondents Association to thank you for the briefing on behalf of Valeria, who couldn't be here. My question is, first of all, have you called and have
Okay, you've been listening to Riyad Mansour, the Palestinian ambassador to the United Nations. Al Jazeera's Shihab Rattansi is live at the UN. Shihab, I assume, like myself, you were furiously taking notes. The headline for me is that the Palestinian ambassador is calling for a humanitarian intervention.
And for the Secretary General and the Security Council, he said, to step up to their responsibilities to prevent a catastrophe, beginning with calling for a ceasefire to stop the bombardment of Gaza, to allow humanitarian aid and just any normal supplies into Gaza, given the Israeli siege. And notably, that's one thing that the UN Secretary General, when he made his comments just about an hour ago, 45 minutes ago or so, did not call for. He did not call for a ceasefire. He called for the immediate, for supplies of food and water to be allowed into Gaza, but he notably did not ask for a ceasefire. And in fact, the Secretary General's spokesperson was asked afterwards, why did the Secretary General not call for an immediate ceasefire? Why did he not use the moral authority of the UN Secretary General to call for an end to the bombardment of Gaza? And the Secretary General's spokesperson said, well, that's the way I read it. So they're suggesting that the Secretary General is suggesting a ceasefire by constantly saying that parties in the conflict should abide by humanitarian law, and that's enough. There's no need for an explicit statement calling for a ceasefire. That appears to be the position of the UN Secretary General currently.
I'm going back to what Riyad Mansour was saying into my notes. He said that he thanked Egypt and Jordan, among other countries, for their efforts in trying to send aid into the Gaza Strip. But he said, for the moment, those efforts are not succeeding. And I think that goes back to exactly what you were saying, that for aid to go in, there would need to be a ceasefire. I mean, of course, aid can't go in while the Gaza Strip is being bombarded. And that's the green light, the ceasefire. That's what they can't get.
And he also said that the president of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, spoke to the Secretary General 2 days ago, calling for humanitarian corridors to allow in food, fuel, and so on. So that was the nature of the conversation 2 days ago between Mahmoud Abbas and the UN Secretary General. So yeah, that is the key issue. He also confirmed what we'd already heard from the United Nations, that 92 UN facilities, these are usually UNRWA, United Nations Relief and Works Agency schools, are now sheltering some 220,000 people, with 100,000 others in Gaza looking for shelter, he said. But we can add to that information by talking about what the UN has also confirmed, that of those those 92 schools, 20 have already been hit by Israeli fire since Saturday. 11 UN staff have been killed across Gaza. We understand that 30 students from these schools, these United Nations schools, have been killed as well. Now, just to remind, this is a feature of these Israeli bombardments of Gaza. We saw it in 2014 when scores of Palestinians and indeed 10 UN staff were killed during that bombardment. The coordinates for these schools are well known. Israel knows where these schools are. They know they're being used to shelter the internally displaced, but Israel hits them anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, Shihab. You know, yesterday I was speaking to the head or deputy head of UNRWA, so the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, about those schools, and she was telling me those schools are, as you say, deconflicted. That means Israel knows those coordinates very accurately, and they know not to hit those schools. And yet, as you said, 20 schools have sustained damage during the course of these bombardments. Shihab Rattansi reporting from the United Nations. Thank you very much.